So this one I can shut down completely.
Yeah,
And taking notice. Once you can learn to study nature, you'll be alright.
No accidents in nature.
Oh yeah, I'm only.
That's
Oh yeah.
You see the sunset?
Today,
Today, it was
Nice,
green.
right?
It was kind of funny color.
Yeah, she said
I
she
was
was
inside,
inside.
we have a survey
She
going
was
on.
let, yeah, that's
So
also
we'll
work.
get chances.
It was the contrast. It was raining.
You'll need the wife, internet cable, do you? The,
I think it was
Even
nullified.
okay.
So no water on the inside.
Please share the room, share the room.
perhaps
It's much appreciated.
I'll bring this back upstairs.
Cool.
The cable that I got from the mic is more from the studio, because that was cutting out.
As long as it works.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all we need.
Let's check the volume. Mic check, 1 2 1 2.
Exactly. That's what I'm for. Being alive.
The matter, just halfway through, could you just complete it, and then I what we do. Just in phone number, and we can send it to you.
You should have seen that.
Yeah, yeah, we've got lately, so.
So you have now.
Yeah.
You can manage to walk up the stairs?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm fine. You know what? I'm used to even
Worse.
trying. I'm used to even trying. I've been hopping for a few years.
So you know
for
what?
mine. I went for a season where I don't know what happened. I was working that night. I was working for a couple of months. I'm just recovering from it now.
You'll be okay.
Recover. Okay.
And now it's getting warmer as well, so
Yeah, it should be better.
your bones will be better soon.
Serious
Keep fit.
Yeah.
Can someone go on
In
cover so I can make them
Finish it. Complete.
Okay, yeah.
I think you put the number on the team.
What did you need, Sakam?
No, I'm gonna go on Clubhouse. Yeah, we'll see what do it.
Neil, would you
Where
need?
you're that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No, he was saying
oh, yeah,
Sia.
let's do that.
Because your name is Sia, right?
You know, sometimes people say see. It's like, are you calling me or are you just saying something else?
How do you pronounce your name?
Sia.
Sia, yeah.
So all I need is
She have a clinic name.
I just spell
Sia,
that.
yeah.
Right, what do you want me to do?
S-E-A-H.
Oh, okay.
Just I just slip it away one.
You want to spell different. But
The
at the
phonetics, yeah.
The terminology of it has nothing to do with
Yeah, Rahubat Moisture.
terminology. Has to do with the
We're
religion.
just making final adjustments and then we're going to start. If you could please share the room. Remember that if you have any questions, you can raise your hand and the admins will bring you up on stage, or you can use the chat to ask your question if your mic's not working. Yeah, roll back everyone on Zoom. Can you hear me? We're doing a sound check. I may be heard yet?
Yeah, that's it. Really good for myself.
Could someone on Clubhouse confirm if they can hear me clearly?
You can be heard.
Tone. Lucia, can you say something again so I can?
You can be heard.
Oh, you're right there. Okay, I guess let a few more people in. Thank you. I just went on TikTok and learned just like, I love you, black. Okay. Okay, we're gonna go live on TikTok.
What's that like as feedback's good? Because I haven't had the chance to even look at the feedbacks.
Yeah, it's great.
Right.
All right. Can you all see my camera? Oh yeah, no, you can't. There we go. Okay. Oh, some water here as well. Wu-Sabat, Moisa.
Rahubat.
So today's topic is rebirth. Rebirth. I actually had a scroll called The Birth Ceremony, which I wanted to read something from, but I don't know what's happened to it. So if anyone's got it, that would be great. It's a scroll by Pa Nababianun, a master teacher, and it kind of relates to the topic of today, rebirth. If you would like to share the room, let me just make me moderator. Lucia, you should now be a moderator.
No, what's that?
Okay. Yeah, so I'm a student teacher of the master teacher, Pana Babianun, the person you see in the pictures behind me. And for those who don't know who Pana Babianun is, you may know him by other titles, such as Dr. Malachi Z. York, and he's been known throughout the ages in different schools that he took us through by many, many titles. You may have heard us say that we study all religions, but we don't just study religion, we study everything. Because he's a master with 360 degrees of physical information, as well as 360 degrees of spiritual information. This is what makes him a spiritual master. So, because most of our people and humanity, in fact, are caught up, caught up in religion, because religion is a tool. One of the tools that has been utilized by 6 ether forces and the people that are in control of the planet by way of extraterrestrials that pull their strings. Because of this, they use religion as a tool to control the masses, because you're dealing with, when you're looking at a person, you see a physical person, but they are made up of different counterparts, different energies. And even though we as physical beings, we utilize food, not every being needs food to subsist or to survive. So a lot of the deities and a lot of the names and tones and vibrations that people call on are the names and tones of these extraterrestrials. And by magnifying their name, their tone, you're magnifying the frequency of that vibration on the planet. So for example, you hear people saying Jesus every day. Oh Jesus, Lord God. And these are tones that these beings, who are known by many names, such as the Elohim, Adonai, Yahweh, El Shaddai, there are many, many titles that they're called. and what you're doing is you're channeling your energy to them. So when we use Kana Babylon Norm's tone, we're channeling that energy towards him. Because if you were walking down the road and I called your name, you would stop for that moment and turn towards me. So I have the power to stop you in your tracks. And if you're God or a deity that is controlling the planet, the galaxy, the universe, etc., if I distract you, that means, can you imagine how much chaos is going to take place in that one moment that I distract you? All right, so when we say that we studied religion, yes, we studied the monotheistic religions thoroughly. We have to, because we're known as the ones who will replace, meaning that Munwapu means that those who replace, because we're living in a day and time where everything has to be replaced. All the old things have to be reborn or changed because it's the end of an era. Not the end of the world, it's the end of an era. Now, eras change in cycles. In fact, the word cycle and circle are synonymous. So when we talk about rebirth, before we deal with rebirth, let me find out, what is birth? Anyone in the audience, on Clubhouse, on TikTok, on Zoom, what is birth? Go ahead, my brother, use the mic because we want to hear you nice and clear. What is birth?
I would say birth is the end of a, or should I say, yeah, the end of a cycle that starts from gestation, and the process of that ending is the birth cycle, where a child or an animal is birthed into this physical world.
Okay, so if we said birth, the first occurrence or the first time you would remember birth would be when?
When you were born.
When you were born.
When you were born.
Right.
That's according to most people, thing. But if I was to think deeper on it,
Yeah.
then I would say that my first conception, which is another form of birth, was in the spiritual realm.
Right.
Before I came into the physical.
Right. So, how did you get in the spiritual realm?
By way of thought.
Whose thought?
My parents.
Which parents?
My parents who brought me into this physical realm.
No, I asked you, how did you get in the spiritual realm?
Oh, how did I get into the spiritual realm? I always existed.
You always existed.
I've always existed.
Okay. And how did you exist?
Energies have always existed, and I'm a form of energy.
Right. So, we all existed as energy. And that energy came from where?
Well, from the teaching of Pana Babylon, is that energy is a realm of where ether generates energy, different forms of variations of energy.
Right. So it's important that we're not just talking about when you came here physically. So you already existed, and it's important to differentiate existence from creation. Because most people are taught under religion that they were created, and that's the beginning. But we know that to create something is what?
To grow.
To grow. So you're growing from something.
That's right.
What elements are conducive for growth?
On this plane on this earth, well, you can look at plants. Plants need sunlight, and then they convert that energy of sunlight to what they require to grow, and the soil. And then if you look at human beings, they need nourishment from, if they're in their mother's womb, the food that she eats and the blood supply.
Right.
And then when you are born, then you have to continue that growth by consuming foods that will help nourish your essence.
Okay, you said plants need sunlight.
Right, and also human beings also need sunlight.
Okay, do plants need anything else?
Soil, air,
All right, okay.
the elements basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So the three main elements that anything needs for growth is soil, sun, and water.
And water, that's right.
Right. So those three in ancient times, in our culture, as our Sabaeans or Nuwapians, our culture is Wu-Sabat. And our ancestors, when you start to look who was here first, because we're talking about birth and rebirth. So who was here first? You say the Africans were here first. Which Africans? And people will try to go backwards to find out who was there first. Archaeologists, anthropologists, historians, theologians. Yeah, so they will try to find out who was there first, and they all end up in Africa. And Egypt is in Africa. And Egypt has been recognized as the civilizers of all other nations on the planet. So who are our ancestors in ancient Egypt? And the word that ties into the elements you're talking about is ta. Yeah? Ta refers to the earth. And we said pata. Yeah? Ta. And then we have water, which is known in our language, Misbatia, as moya or moye, which was also referred to as ma or mu. Yeah? And ma is where you get the word mama or mummy from, right? So you got ta, ma, re. We say re because the different tones get mistranslated over time. So ta, ma, re were the three elements that we recognize for growth. So our land, go ahead, brother, you got your hand up.
No, oh, you looked up? You had your hand up?
No, you.
Oh, me, right. No, it's funny because going back to words, we actually, if I could just point out the lovely sister on the right here. I got this. She said her name was Sia.
Yeah.
And phonetically, that's one of our ancient ancestors.
Sure.
And you got names like Tamara. Or Tamara, Tamara.
Yes.
And again,
yes,
they're saying our ancestors' name, but they don't realize that's what they're saying.
Right. That name, Tamara, is a very popular name, but it comes from Tamare. And if you look at those letters, Ta has an A in it, TA, which is a vowel. Ma has a vowel in it, which is also an A. And Re has the E in it, which is also a vowel. So in ancient times, we didn't have vowels. And these vowels were introduced into the language, and that's how things started to change in terms of pronunciation. And the reason these vowels were introduced, it was because other people who couldn't pronounce certain words in our language, because we use the throat, like we use certain tones that if you can't pronounce it, so for example, the KH, which, can anyone pronounce the sound of a KH? So the word for creation, as in bringing something from anew, the first time, is what? Halakha. See, but if you can't pronounce the KH, you might change that to a ka. And it's the same with the tamare. If you take all the vowels and change them to an A, instead of a T-A-M-A-R-E, you get Tamara. Yeah? So if you look at certain words that people use in the so-called conscious community, people like say Hotep all the time. What does Hotep mean?
They say
I heard someone say peace. Does it mean peace? No, I mean that's a common thing. Everyone thinks it means peace. But again, if you take out the vowels you will have the root letters H, T, and P. And if you knew, you could still pronounce that without the vowels. But the people that introduced the vowels put the O and the E, so you get Hotep. But we say Hatap, which is still replacing the vowels with the A's. And Hatap means bliss. It doesn't mean peace. But the thing is, if you are in a blissful state, you will automatically be in a peaceful state.
Right.
This is why the Muslim world, because remember that the Muslims, the Christians, and the Jews all recognize that Abraham is their patriarch. And most of the religious world have men in front ruling everything. So Abraham was a man, Moses was a man, Jesus was a man, and all up until today, where you're dealing with the presidents and the prime ministers, these are all men. But that time has come to an end because we're now moving into a matriarch. Yeah, so when I was saying that our ancient land was known as Tamaray, our ancestors that named it that come from the stars. The stars, as in the constellations of Orion and Sirius. And the female was here first. There's no argument that the female was here first. But because of the ego of men who have been ruling the world, when you say the woman or the female, the feline or the feminine was here first, men that don't want to let go because they've been in rulership for so long, they find that hard to accept. But in ancient times, because we say the woman was first, doesn't mean that the woman is over the man. It just means that she's smarter, yeah? She spoke first, she's got the X chromosome,
Yeah.
and the Y is a defective Y. So it's not saying that she's going to take over and rule the men the same way that men have tried to suppress the woman. The reason they suppress the woman is because they are afraid of her power and her abilities. But the master told us many years ago, Dr. Mark Haziyo, he told us that we are losing if we suppress our women. So he was one of the first people to, every time you saw him, he had women around him.
Yeah.
He didn't really have men around him. He said because the men allow their egos to get in the way, you know, because they don't like to be groomed and brought up. But he said, if you listen to me as a son, I will teach you as a father. I can be your brother, I can be your father, I can be your friend, I can be your uncle, I can be, but you have to learn to listen and follow instructions. And when you do, you will get a rebirth. So today's topic is rebirth. And when we talk about rebirth, we're talking about not just being reborn. Because even that, in the scriptures, they tell you that Jesus said, again, right, disclaimer, quote the Bible for the people that are still caught up in it, that believe it to be some divine scripture from some divine being, which is not the case. We're not here to offend anyone, but you cannot prove any of the scriptures of the monotheistic religions to be authentic. Not the Quran. When you hear people say, oh, we believe the Quran because we're Muslims, because the Bible has been tampered with. That's not the case. And they say the Quran hasn't been tampered with, but it has. Because they would admit that there were no vowels in the original Arabic of the Quraysh that was the way that Prophet Muhammad received it, right? So there were no vowels. They brought in a system called Tajweed, thank you. And it's a way that they introduced these vowels like Kamabuta and you know, certain vowels that change the pronunciation of words. They also tell you that it was destroyed, and many men had to commit it to memory, right? And then these companions of Muhammad, that they compiled it from memory, and then it was already in bones and different pieces of stone, and then they put it together and then put it back together. They tell you that Uthman was one of the people that destroyed the Quran. And we go and look at the Bible, it's the same thing. The so-called disciples, all their accounts were like many years after, 90 years after, 70 years after. Most of us can't remember what we did yesterday, let alone 70 years ago. So when you start to read their accounts and they pick out Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John as the people that were around and they made these recordings. But you read each one of them and they all say a different thing. So again, they're not accurate. There's no original. No one has an original Bible, no one has an original Quran, no one has any original scriptures except for us as the Tamaranians. Because you can go to Egypt today and you can still see the writings on the walls. 10,000 of years later, yeah? They've dug up and found fossils, taken DNA tests of our ancestors, yeah? They found Osiris. And if you find one person and they have a family, then you're automatically saying the rest of the family existed. You get that?
Yep.
It's like, if you find Osiris, and Osiris had a wife, what's her name?
Isis. Aset.
Aset or Ashtar.
Ashtar.
You see how the tone changes? Yeah? And if you can't find any of the people in the Bible or any evidence to prove that they ever existed, then did they exist? Obviously not.
No.
Yeah, and you can see that because each one of them, their name gets changed. Like Abraham's name's changed.
Yeah. Ibrahim.
Yeah, Ibrahim to Abraham to Abraham. But when you break down the word, you're saying Ab, Ra, and Ham. Now Ham means black, or Hem, the KH again. Yeah, because Ham was whose son?
Terah.
No,
Noah's son.
Noah's
Noah,
son.
yeah. Noah.
Right? And they say that Noah had what? 3 children.
3 children.
And they try to say they were all triplets. Meaning that all the races come, or the 3 different races come from each one of the sons. That doesn't make sense genetically. You can't have 3 children from the same mother and father, and one comes out black, and one comes out white, and one comes out Asian. That's not scientific fact. So the spell of religion has been binding our people for many years, and now is that time for the rebirth. The rebirth is you giving it all back. Giving it all back. That's how you reborn yourself. But when you give everything back, you have something to replace it with. Can anyone tell me, why do the pharaohs wear the snakes on their forehead? Most of the pharaohs in ancient Egypt, you see they have snakes on their forehead.
I think it represents wisdom.
Please use the mic. I hope everyone on Clubhouse can still hear us, and if you want to come up on the stage, let us know. And anyone on TikTok or Zoom, let us know. Are we live on YouTube? We are. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. So, sister.
I'm not sure if that's the reason, but the snake represents wisdom.
Okay. Yeah, it does. Anyone else? Why the snake? What do we know about snakes? Are we scared of snakes? Who's scared of a snake?
Depends on the snake.
Only by way of being. Only purely because I grew up with the biblical story, which has embedded in my psyche. So it's affected me from actually liking snakes.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But had I not known that.
Yeah. And it's the same with me. I can guarantee, well, not anymore, but I used to have that same fear of snakes because of the biblical story. And why is that? Because what did they say about, what does the biblical story say?
Well, the snake was the devil, according to the Bible. So,
Right. Because it did what?
Deceived Eve.
It deceived Eve, right? And how did it do that?
yeah, well,
Please
well,
use the mic.
yeah, yes.
Yeah. How did the snake deceive you? First of all, the snake was talking.
Yeah, that's the big one.
How does a snake talk? Go ahead, sis.
Yeah, we all know the story of
Zamal Tat.
Adam and Eve. If you eat of the tree of life, I think
Mm-hmm.
you'll be
You'll die.
you'll die. Sorry.
Yeah.
But what happened when they ate of the fruit, which wasn't an actual fruit, it was just following the advice of the snake.
Yeah.
Is when they found out the real truth, and they didn't actually die.
Right.
So in fact, the snake pretty much told Eve what God didn't want Eve to know.
That story, when you start to look at it from a nine-mind point of view, it makes absolutely no sense. First of all, they say their eyes were open, but they were walking around in the garden and they saw the tree to see that it was pretty to the eye and to be a temptation. So, what eyes are they talking about? Number one. Number two, as you said, this snake can talk, and a woman that's not afraid of a talking snake, I'm yet to meet. Can you imagine a snake come up to you? Go ahead, brother.
Okay, hello.
Sorry, one point. Let me just hear what the person on Clubhouse. Who's that, please? Sat. Hi, kiddo. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. Like, I live in Australia, and I'm not scared of snakes.
Okay.
You might consider me to be one of those people that talk to snakes.
That's right. But does the snake talk back to you?
Just to let you know, we didn't hear that on Zoom.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to get this. I was asking if the snake speaks back to you.
I think the snake does speak back to me in symbolism, not in words. By simply observing the snake and its mannerisms, I can look at how it shed its skin and take that into my own ideas of shedding skin in my life. And the snake throughout history has always been a symbol of death and rebirth, and we can see that in the Ouroboros symbolism, the snake eating itself.
Okay. You've gone a little bit further, which I was going to come to, but the point is, I'm saying that the snake doesn't speak back to you using its vocal cords, does it? And it doesn't like have a conversation using language, as in
Snake doesn't speak, but
right.
in the Bible, did the snake use words, or was it, like, how did the snake actually speak? Was it telepathic?
It didn't speak. In fact,
Speech.
the word snake is not even used in that quote. It actually doesn't use the word snake. It uses the word whisperer. That's what it says. Because whoever was speaking to Eve was whispering to her. It was religious doctrine that turned it into a serpent. And the minute they say serpent, they say snake. But then everyone thinks the snake's bad because of what happened after the incident. Because God came and what did he do? He said, the snakes.
On thy belly shall thee crawl, and the snake is cursed.
Right. And what was he going to eat for the rest of his life?
Dust.
Dust.
You cannot find one single snake in the world that eats dust. Snakes don't eat dust. You see, so again, these are just misinterpretations of stories and incidents that took place in our culture that got misinterpreted. And my sister, Kida, what you, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, is it Keda or Kida? Makeda. I see Keda. Yeah. What you went on to say is really the point I was trying to make. But before that, why do they use snakes for the medical symbol? Because health, yeah, the caduceus.
Some small portion of the snake's venom can be used to actually counteract the actual poison.
That's right.
And it's also part of, healing. It's a healing.
Right. And they know that, and this is why the snakes are used as the medical symbol. But the point that Keda made was that snakes shed their skin. Rebirth. Yeah, they shed their skin because of rebirth. Because we understand, and our culture and our ancestors understood, was rebirth. Rebirth. Yeah, that's the title of today's class, because we're dealing with rebirth. And when we say rebirth, we're in a day and time where we're saying you have to rebirth from whatever crap you've been taught all your life that makes absolutely no sense. See, Wu-Sabat, we can debunk anything in religion in literally minutes, because we have been raised and taught by a master teacher, the master of all masters. That's why we cannot really, no one can come against us, because it's a rebirth. Our 24,000 year cycle is here. And some brothers have recently been rebirthed. Yeah? It's a rebirth, it's a new beginning. Rebirth, a new cycle, a new day and time. And we as Munwapu are here to replace all the lies, all the crap with right knowledge. There's duality in everything. Where there's knowledge, there's right knowledge, and there's wrong knowledge. And a lot of people, unfortunately, have been given wrong knowledge for thousands of years, in fact, for 6,000 years. And it's about time for your rebirth. And we have something called 9 mental diseases, right? And this is something that we have to be reborn from. And what I'm going to do, so what you see, the slides that you see, I'll probably have to share my screen. Let me just share my screen on Zoom. Just share my screen. Share screen. People on Zoom, can you see my screen? Let me know. If you can't, can you see my screen?
Yeah, so we can see the screen.
Excellent. Oh, is that sounds like our sister Zamarta Topaz. Is that you? Okay, so I'm just gonna. So the slides you see on the screen, it's synopsis. Can someone grab? Can you grab the scroll? Our scroll, the one with me and Zamal Asaru. You gonna scroll up? Yeah, we've got a scroll out that's available today if you want it. So rebirth. Just give me a moment. I'm just trying to find this slide. So anyway, I'll carry on. And the 9 mental, it's on the shelf here, the 9 mental diseases which deal with the reason why a lot of us don't progress, and we need to get rid of these. On the screen, let me just, can I make that bigger? Oh, I'm in the way. The 9 mental diseases are 1, ego. Everything that I teach, for those that want to be teachers, and we've called this scroll the fast track your spiritual and conscious journey. Because a lot of the things you hear us teach, a lot of the information is here. And the Master took us on something called a long walk on a short path. He explained to us the long walk was the amount of information that we had to accumulate and study, and the short path was the amount of time we had to do it in. And that was because he came on the scene in the 1960s, 62, knowing that we were coming to the year 1970, where the first half hour, because he was given an allotted time to break the spell and to rebirth us, right, into who we truly are. And so that is also referred to in the scriptures as the hour, or we refer to him as the man of the hour, because he had half an hour symbolically from 1970 to the year 2000. And then from the year 2000, when it was the end of the devil's rule, right, the end of the 24,000 year cycle, and then from the year 2000 to the year 2030, it's another half hour. And within this period of time, it's referred to as the now. But now, see, in Wu-Sabat, you're going to hear a lot of information that may be new to you or may sound is high level. So it may take a while for you to resonate with it. But in 1970, it was a countdown. So from 1962, he started to teach a small group of people. And as time went on, many started to feel his vibration on the planet, because we're talking about energy, and that type of being here, his presence alone changes the vibration on the planet. And so the word started to get out. And by 1970, and during that time, what he did is he went to every teacher that was currently teaching at the time. He sat amongst them and he listened. And he was like listening out to hear what they were teaching and whether or not they were teaching right knowledge. And a lot of them were teaching religion. So many of your organizations that were formed around that time, especially the ones that Nagarus or Negroids or black people, that's a term we use loosely because we are not a color. When people use the word black and try and say we're black, they're talking about color. But black is not a color.
Sure.
How do you know black is not a color?
It's a state, which, I mean, because the primary...
Yeah, because if you combine all colors, you get black.
Black.
So it's not a color, it's a state. And so when we say black, we're referring to the state before there was chaos, before there was light. Because light brings about chaos. Because in darkness without light, no one sees anything, you just are. Yeah? So we're talking about supreme balancement. But anyway, from 1962, he was teaching, and then it got more popular, and by 1970, where the seventh seal was broken, meaning that that's from that point where he started to pour out so much information into the world that most people couldn't fathom how he was able to do this, and he was in his 20s at that time. So he wrote and he set the record straight on all the scriptures, from the Torah, which people call the Bible, but it's really the 5 books of Moses, the Psalms of David, the Injil, which is what the Muslims call the book of Revelation. He actually translated the Quran itself, Circle 7, which is the Quran that the Moorish Science Temple were using, the Nation of Islam. Obviously, they were teaching a form of Islam. So he was like, we've got to take you back to your original state before religion came along. Because the word religion means to rely on the jinns, or to give allegiance to these beings that we were talking about before. So they bind you to them. This is why, going back to what I was saying about the names, the minute you take on a religion, the first thing they do is push you to give you a name. You've been born again, so they give you a name. So in Islam, everybody gets the name Abdullah. Abdullah, which means Abd means slave. And you can hear the phonetics. Abdullah means you're a slave of Allah. Yeah, so all religions, their purpose is to enslave you. Because you go under a deity, then they hand you a book that you follow, and if you don't follow that book, then you're not considered to be a part of them, and that means you're going to hell. Because if you go against what they say, then you're doomed. And that's Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and most religions, because their God needs you to fear him. Why do you need to fear him? Or else you get burnt in hell's fire forever. Number one, using nine mind again, it doesn't make sense. Have you ever had a fire that can burn you and you're still alive forever? That don't make sense either, because that can't be harmful. If I'm still there, I'm going to be living forever and it's burning me. Doesn't make sense. Religion doesn't make sense. And so we need to be rebirthed from that mindset. So they give you a name, because that name is a tone that you now vibrate under. And the best way of me explaining that is that right now, everyone in here has got a mobile phone, right? Smartphone, cell phone, everyone. How many people on the planet right now?
7 billion?
7 billion. It is possible that not everyone has a phone, but let's say a big majority of that. How can you have, let's say everyone did get a phone, right? You could have 7 billion unique numbers. Because I need a specific number to ring you and get you, wherever you are on the planet. And that's a tone of vibration and a frequency. That's why I was saying that if I'm able to call your name and distract you, even for that moment, even if you don't answer the phone, I'm still going to distract you, because you're going to look at the missed call or the text or the voicemail or whatever. So no matter what, I can affect you with that tone. And those numbers, before everything became digital, you could hear the analog tone when you used to dial the phone. You could hear and you hear it, right? So my point being that you have a unique tone that no matter where you are in the world, if I call you and you answer, I'm connected to you. And so when they give you a name in religion, they're giving you a tone that you can be controlled under. And this is why they give you a name, and they say you're now born again. You're born into Islam. In Islam, they say you take your shahada. Yeah. In Judaism, what do they do?
Is it?
That's right. They give you a bar mitzvah. So they bring you, dip you in some water or whatever, carry on with a ritual, and then they give you a new name, and now you call on this God or this deity, and you're now channeling that energy towards that being, and that being can control you. Yeah? Because if you think, I'm sinning, I'm going to go to hell, this being's going to do this to me, then you're actually being controlled by that being. Alright, so when we say rebirth, and we're talking about rebirth today, we're talking about the night rebirthing from the ego, because the ego is what holds people back, because the ego deals with me, myself, and I. Do you remember the group?
De La Soul.
De La Soul, me, myself, and I. And people are so preoccupied with the I, which is what? The ninth letter Yeah, remember we deal with nine signs. And so you have to uproot that ego. Ego, the E stands for energy. Energy on the go. So you have to realize that if you've got ego, you can't really be humble enough to be taught because you think you know it all. You know everything. No one can't tell you anything. But yet, the first thing that you're taught in the scriptures is that if anybody comes to you and says they're from a divine being, the Father, the Creator, you must test that spirit. Not the physical, test the spirit. Because many people are like, they're inhabited by many spirits. Spirits that may not necessarily be good for you. The second one is pride. These are the 9 mental diseases. The reason we say tackle the mental diseases first is because your mind controls how you think, and it controls what you do, because you first have to think of something to then make the action. Jealousy, right? That's another thing, because the system we live in creates competition, and that's what brings about jealousy. Because if you have shoes and I have shoes, but somehow someone tells you that my shoes are better than yours because my shoes cost £1,000 and yours only cost £10, all of a sudden you feel like there's something wrong with your shoes. But really, your shoes were fine. And so if you look at the world, a lot of competitions are created against brothers, and you look at all the incidents in the Bible comes from conflicts between 2 brothers. And it goes on from Enki and Enlil to Esau and Jacob, some other ones. Anyone can name any more conflicts between 2 brothers? Cain and Abel, of course. And it goes on and on and on. And today, we call that Arsenal versus Manchester United Football Club. And you see people go in a frenzy if their team loses. And it affects them emotionally. And I remember where the teams, like certain teams, I won't call them out, but certain teams, when they lost a match, they will go around smashing up people's cars and all kinds of things. So competition is something that we as Sabaeans, we don't deal with, because why create competitions? Because what it is one loses and one wins. And so the people that lose create this negative emotion, and then it creates chaos on the planet. So we don't really deal with competitions. We deal with working together in peace and in harmony. I'll come back to that. So let me finish the 9 mental diseases. So anger is another one, because it's another negative vibration. Greed, lies, lust, and being, what's the word? Gluttony, which is like, even when you have enough, you still want more, you know. You've seen people that they're eating, they're so full, and they can't eat anymore, but because the food's on the plate, they try to force themselves to eat. And you're like, oh, I'm full, but you're struggling with that. Leave it. Your belly's full, you know. So, and then lastly, belief, which is what the Illuminati, the word Illuminati deals with light. Yeah, they say they're the enlightened ones. But to be enlightened, as I said before, is to bring about chaos. And what they do is control the planet by fear. That's why I say these gods, fear them, because if you don't fear them, they have no power over you. And when you say to people, if you're not going to hell, then what? What can that God do to you? If you say to yourself, there's no hell, we don't believe in hell, because our ancestors don't deal with hell. In fact, what they're calling hell is another misinterpretation, meaning that there's a burning within you, and you have to burn out the things that you're doing, yeah, your desires that are keeping you held on lower vibrations, yeah, 9 mental diseases, you've got to burn them out so that the thoughts that you have are pure. They're vibrating on a higher level. Relationships, rebirth. Sometimes you have to break away from certain relationships because they hold you back. And the ties that we have with people, they hold us back sometimes. Even if it's, I say relationship, I don't necessarily mean relationship between man and woman. It could be a relationship between you and your brother, you and your sister, you and your mother, uncle, you and your great ma. And these relationships, sometimes you have to let go of. So if I'm saying things today that are resonating with anyone in any of the points I'm making, whether it's your relationship, friendship, whether it is your job, because some people are tied to a job and that job is no good for them. But because of Monet, I say Monet because money, remember I said about the vowels. When you say money, if you take that E and change it to an A, you say Monet, and this is a Greek god, yeah, of sarcasm and pain. So a lot of people are in pain going to their job. They hate their job, but they go because of the money, the Monet. Money, 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 money. Why though? Because the money is not even real. It's a piece of paper. Or numbers. It's not even paper anymore. It's just digits. Imagine, yeah, someone can just type in your account in 1 second, £1 million, and you got £1 million. And it's just numbers that don't exist. Just digits on the screen. Because most times, people don't even see the money anymore. Because now, they're bringing in the cashless society, which the master teacher spoke to us about many years ago. He told us this was going to come. And even though we're guided and told what to do, because of the spell, a lot of us are afraid. Because it comes back to fear. Fear of losing your job, fear of losing your woman, your relationship, fear, 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 fear. And you have to break the fear. This is why the master teacher tells us, Nuwapians fear nothing, full stop. Because we don't die. So, what do you really have to be afraid of? All right, if I said tomorrow, everyone leave their job, who's going to do it? You're getting fired. You're getting fired. Check that out. Fire. You're getting fired. You're getting put in fire. No, but the thing is, we limit ourselves. Do you know, we could literally change our whole existence as, again, the Garus on this planet, if we just moved and worked together and just all agreed. Tomorrow is the day we're all going to give them back everything. But why won't we do that?
Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
No, we are not.
No, but I'm saying you said fear, so I'm saying
Yeah,
what,
but that's
what are people afraid of?
We're afraid of the security, the money people security.
Two things. Yeah, use the mic. Most people are afraid. Right, let's talk about it. What are we afraid of?
You know, people attach their existence to what they have. Actually, we've been conditioned to attach our existence to what we own. Really, it starts with ego as well. Like
Yeah.
maybe the car you drive, the house we live in. To the extent that sometimes we brother those things more than our fellow brethren. You understand?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm not going to digress too much, but look at the state of most African countries.
Yeah.
Look at leadership. That just because we want to live a certain lifestyle, and we don't care that the brethren haven't even had breakfast, or haven't had salary for 9 months. it's just the coldness, and it's just, as you said, it's the mindset, isn't it, sir?
Yeah.
It's the mindset, which some of us grew up in that, we're conditioned to that. And even so, this is also called place of worship now. It's so all about, it's all the charade anyway.
So a lot of people are waking up and realizing that, you know, we predate don't really have any effect on us anymore because the spell has been broken. It's just now, it's like, have you ever seen a hamster when it's running in circles around, and then you open the gate and it carries on running around? It doesn't even look and say, I can get out. So this is what we have become, and we are here as Musbatu to break that spell by way of the teachings of the master teacher Panda Babyanun and Wu-Sabat. And so there was a scroll he put out many years ago, a tiny scroll, a little bit smaller than this one, and it's called Birth Ceremony. And it was explaining to us that we are actually doctors, and we're doctors of theology, history, comparative religious studies, as well as Semitic languages. But what we really are doctors to cure the untruths with facts. That's what we really are. And once you get woken up from spell, you have to wake other people up, and it spreads. So he took us through many schools, as we have said, under the Ansarullah University in New York, where we studied Judaic Torah, Jewish laws, under the New Islamic Hebrews also. We did a thorough study of the New Testament, the life and times of Jesus, fact and fiction, under the teachings of the Holy Tabernacle Ministries administration, as well as ancient Egyptian and Sumerian history, right? And that was taking us and walking us right back to our own culture of Wu-Sabat, which comes all the way from the stars. And I'm going to read these daily affirmations, yeah, that we have and should practice. We accept as fact the eternal laws of nature as revealed through science, past events, logic, common sense, revealed as the right knowledge, right wisdom, and understanding. We accept as fact the highest laws of nature is the cooperation and harmony of all living beings. I'll read that one again, please. We accept as fact that the highest laws of nature is the cooperation and harmony of all living things. Whereas the Caucasian, the European, he uses something called recreation, and says recreation. This is a play on words again, the spell. And he goes about destroying the planet. And as you say, coming to Africa, and with all our resources of, you know, platinum, gold, cobalt, diamonds, oil, we can keep going. We have so much, yeah, that even what has been stolen, it's only like 10% of what's still there. So when you say we are afraid, and the African leaders, it's because they came there with the Bible and put the fear of God into you, their God, to the point where it was beaten into your genetics, into your DNA. And then they took your resources. Because the West is built on all the riches of Africa, till this day. All those mobile phones and cell phones I mentioned, they can't run without cobalt. From Congo. And they're killing and doing so much destruction over there that you don't even hear or see on the news. But they want to tell you about Ukraine. And they want to tell you about what's going on in Russia. But we as a people, we've been desensitized to the point where we are even now allowing a supreme being that is here to help us to be incarcerated by these devils, even without any grounds in their own legal system, because they say when you're a diplomat or consul general of another country, which is another sovereign state, they can't touch you. But because of racism, they've violated every single thing you can think about. And so as a rebirth, we as Musbatu, the master teacher, needs to come out for us to rebirth our culture. Let me keep going. That was number 2. We accept as fact our way of life as a means to the best end. Our way of life is the means to the best end. We accept as fact that loyalty is the greatest of all honors and treason is the worst of all crimes. What's treason?
You do some.
Yeah, please, anyone.
Treason is basically when you reveal or help to destroy your nation from within.
Right, exactly. Let's have a look. Treason, I'm putting it up. Because in any government, any sovereign state, treason, the offense of attempting to overthrow the government of one's country or assisting its enemies in war. Specifically, the act of levying war against, it says United States, or adhering to or giving
Of course
aid,
it would.
yeah, and comfort to its enemies by one who owes it allegiance. Now, why did it say United States? Because we're using Google.
Yeah, well, that's definitely one of the reasons.
But go ahead.
I have a question, because now that you're bringing into these, one thing of we're obviously lacking as Nagaru African people is studying certain words.
Yes.
And bringing that word into the context of what you're speaking about. We are being treacherous or treason to our own race.
That's
That's
right.
what I'm saying. So
That's
when
right.
you actually take a picture, every black person or African or whoever they think they're from, where they're from, they're actually committing this to their own race.
That's right. We do it
voluntarily.
to ourselves. Exactly. This is what our problem is. Because in the Bible, the devil says, right, the whole thing that's going on between, remember, you always have the devil, you have two sides, the duality I was mentioning before, yeah? There's always has to be a good to be a bad. There has to be a up to be a down. There has to be left to be a right, you know, day and night, etc., right? So what they basically is like the devil, without the devil, there's no need for God. And without God, there's no need for the devil. So what they've done is they made a bet. The devil says, I'm going to prove to you that these beings that you're saying you care about, I will be able to take them off your path and trick them and take them off, and they're not worthy. So going back to what you're saying, all they're trying to do is get as many souls as possible, right? For him to present. And when I say him, I'm not talking about your religious mindset of a devil with horns and a pitchfork that they've given you. What they've done with that is trying to throw you off, because there's a real person. His name is Nana Sin in the scriptures, right? But they make him out like he's not a real person or doesn't exist, because that influence that he has through an intricate system of religion and, you know, like the Illuminati, the system, that the work, the job, everything that you think is good for you, which is actually bad for you, through that system, he convinces you to give him your soul. This is what everyone's after. This is all religion, because when you subscribe to a religion, a lot of the time they don't even know there's a difference between a soul and a spirit. So they mix up the two words. And so they say to you, when you're born again, of the spirit, etc., that you're now under them, but the thing is, your soul is something you have to give to them. They can't take it from you. You have to volunteer it. So, and they can't collect it until when you're crossing over, or what people say when you're dying. So they put you in a state of dead, being dead. You're walking dead when you're not reborn in the right way. So, you know, everything you do is geared towards that moment when you cross over, when you pass, so they can take your soul. And people go down that road thinking they're doing a good thing, that they're worshipping God, that they're trying to live a good life, not knowing they're being bamboozled for Nana and his agents and the minions that work for them to take your soul. So this is why, going back to what you're saying, Zamal, go ahead.
I have a question on Clubhouse.
Okay.
Just to check.
Tour.
It's from.
Is the mic on?
It's from. Sorry, it's from. It's just like it's deleted. It was from.
Yeah, I like that circuit on Clubhouse. Was just add, whilst you're looking for that, adding to the rubies, to the resources we have: sapphires, gold, silver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
Basically, they were talking about the desire and how people might misconstrue that or misunderstand that meaning of burning out your desire. So could you just elaborate?
Sure. All right. So, what's a desire? Again, kind of sounds like fire, isn't it? A desire is something that you have that it controls you, and you're not in control of it, and it can become an addiction because you have to constantly have this thing. It could be a desire to have more wealth, a desire to have bigger house, a desire for sexual gratification. It could be alcohol, weed, so many things that you desire that you don't actually need. Yeah, so what it is you have to be in control of it so that if you don't have it, it doesn't affect you. Do you know what I mean? It could be sex, you know. So when you're in control of it, because a lot of people that a simple cigarette controls their life to the point where they can freak out if they don't have a cigarette. It's true. Drink, or sex, or anything. We can up so many food, cakes, sugar, salt. Roll back. Come in. Join us. You see, so when we say burn it out, it means that you get to a point where you say to yourself, if I have it, doesn't make a difference. If I don't have it, doesn't make a difference. And the way you do this is by discipline. And the word discipline ties into the word disciple, because that's what a disciple is. Someone who's studying and they're disciplined. You can see how it phonetically ties in. But I want to get through these these points. But I hope that answered that question. So we accept as fact that what is good for Sabaeans of Wu-Sabat is the highest virtue, and what is bad for Wu-Sabat or Sabaeans is the ultimate evil. The nation, the Nuwapian nation, is the finest and the most noblest organization for all humanity, created by circumstances. What does that mean? How are things created by circumstances? Right now, there's a necessity for us. We're tired. We're tired of being abused for doing absolutely nothing. When you look at what the treatment that so-called black people get around the world, and look at what we have contributed or given to the world, which is pretty much everything, you ask, why are we treated worse than everybody else? Why are we so hated? You never see Chinese, well, hardly ever see, I've never seen a Chinese person, Hindu person, even an Indian person, like being brutalized by police the way you see black people. Every day, constant, we can go and name so many cases. Why is that? What have we ever done? We're peaceful people. There's a hate which comes going back to the Bible again, that enmity that was. And who?
The devil, so the serpent seed.
Right. So they're fighting against each other. The wars that have been going on for thousands of years and going on in Ukraine, and then we get caught up in it because we allow ourselves to be involved in their religions and things that have nothing to do with us.
Treason.
Treason. Again, I like that word.
I like it, it's all good.
All right. We accept as fact that creativity, love, and cooperation are the essence of success. So if you don't love yourself and you don't cooperate with yourself, how are you going to succeed? You see people, I'm not just talking about the females, but they go to the female first and break her down. Because the female is the goddess. They're the ones that nurture the children. They run the home. So if you get the entire nation. So they will give the women and offer the women the jobs and make the men look like they're no good. If you can't provide because of money, which you've been set up already, you don't have no money, your woman's gonna look at you like waste man. Thank you. Waste man. Because a woman only thinks about how am I gonna feed the children? How am I gonna keep things going? You know what I mean? They don't look at your physical. Women are so smart. A lot of men think it's six packs. There are women on here, I'm sure you guys have told me, yeah? Women are so smart, they look at your brain, how you think, where you taking me, and my lineage. Are you a straight, upright man? Do you have any plans? I see you, brother. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add a little bit to what you were
Please
saying.
use the mic. We have to keep emphasizing because there are people online that can't hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to add on to what you were just saying there because even things with like benefits.
Yeah.
And how they'll give the benefits to the woman where the woman will feel like that they might not need the man anymore if the man's not able to provide because the benefits will do
Exactly.
what it needs to do. But then it goes back to what you were saying about giving everything back.
Yeah.
So if as a man you now want to rebirth and you want to give everything back,
Yeah.
if you're doing that, you're giving up the job, you're giving up the so-called money, everything that comes with that.
Yeah.
And if you're with a woman now,
Yeah.
I guess that's where the test is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add on.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So a job is what? You're just over broke.
It's true.
That's true. People that work are just over broke because enough money to cover everything, and that's by design. So what you then do is try and get a job that's going to pay you more money, and then you get that one, and it's still not enough, and you're just in the cycle of getting a bigger and better job. But if you, as a man, was a real man, you will learn how to provide. You'd learn how to have a trade. You'd have something where you can be able to provide for your family. And that's what we're going to lead into. The next few classes I'm going to do is actually help people who want to be reborn in terms of coming out of that world, right? The next couple of classes are called Unplug from the Matrix with Wu-Sabat. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Also to add, the word Job or Job means Ayub in Hebrew, which also means persecuted. So
That's
basically,
right.
They're being persecuted for righteous sake.
Yes.
Said today.
And you're afraid because if you don't have a job, but you have a job and you, so that should actually make you think, because there's a ceiling if someone is paying your wages. You know, they're ceiling on what you earn. And some people will have a job they hate, and they do that job for years until they are old, and then they say get a pension, which doesn't exist. But go on, you got the mic, you're going to say something.
No, I think if we continue, because otherwise we're going to digress.
Yeah, true. All right, so I'm almost at the last. So we accept as fact the truth, that truth and facts are always and has always been the originator and creator. Truth and facts are always and have always been the originator and creator of all success. This is why we have to teach the truth, regardless. And if you know the truth, you know that we don't die. So what are you afraid of? How can you be afraid of something that you don't know how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen?
That's the thing again, because it's the conditioning.
That's
right.
right.
I mean, it's being so conditioned, and you mentioned about DNA.
Yeah.
And how it's in the genes from
Right.
childhood. You know, they show you all these movies and cartoons
Yeah.
and all of these things. So, you know, we teach, obviously Wu-Sabat teaches that the mind is an animal in itself, where it would create these images and embed them in your psyche. So
that's right. We have a scroll, right? And what that shows you and teaches you, and it's again by Partner Babiano and Dr. Malachi Z. York, and most of the things that people see are created in their own mind, because you have subconscious mind and you have conscious mind, and you have been storing images in your mind from the time you were a child, which were through the TV, the movies, and so, like, when you think of a monster, when you think of seeing something, a lot of that comes from you creating that yourself. So you may have watched a movie with a dog that was barking when you were a child. You stored that, and then another image that comes along, say a really tall person, and you say, you store that in your mind as well. And then you might have a so-called nightmare or a dream, and because you put the two together now, you see a big, huge animal, yeah, because you put the dog, did I say dog before? Yeah. And the tall man, and it's a big thing that's chasing you in your dream. And the way your eye works, because you don't really see anything. You think you're seeing, but what you're doing is creating these images, and then, like, you know when you used to take pictures in the old days, you had the negatives? Am I too old for you? Negatives, right? So you take a picture and you have to take the negatives and print the pictures from the negatives. So your subconscious mind stores images like that, so they're there, and you can always bring them and then create them, recreate them. But so this whole class, just to reset the room, Wu-Sabat Sabians UK at the Shack. Today's title is called Rebirth, because we're dealing with you being born again. And in the Bible, when Nicodemus was told he had to be reborn again, he said, what did he say?
What, from my mother?
I need to go back into my mother's stomach and come back out again? Come on. Like, look how big you are. How are you going to fit back through? But this is showing you the level of intelligence that, but it didn't mean that. It says, unless you're reborn of the spirit and the soul. So you have to look at your real essence, your real being, and turn yourself inside out. You need to turn yourself inside out, literally, like bring the essence of you that's really you from within. And this is the doctrine of Wu-Sabat. We're teaching you to expand that light within you. this little light of mine, I want to let it shine. I want it to be shining so bright that I can affect the world. Like I said to you, Partner Babylon's energy is so powerful. This is why they had to lock him away. Because that energy to the world, he's so loved, they had to create a situation where they can put in people's minds negative allegations about him. So people hearing something, and this is what they did, they tried to attach it to children, knowing that if you have a soul, anything to do with children, you're going to feel. Nobody wants to see children being treated badly or cruel, so they use that. But the thing is, it hasn't worked, and it will never work, because they say themselves, when the truth comes, all false things will perish. This is a rebirth. We have to kill that negativity, raise ourselves back to the supreme beings that we really are. So, if you are not in the brotherhood, you need to get back into the brotherhood. That's a rebirth. If you're not in the sisterhood, you need to rebirth and get into the sisterhood. Of how to be a true deity through these orders. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to ask. So with Baba's freedom, our tribe, we need to rebirth. A lot of our tribe has become, because of them breaking us apart, because we had our own land of 476 acres, where we had everything, living and producing as supreme beings. We had everything. When I say everything, I mean we had our own money, our own toothpaste, our own soaps, we have our own attire that we produce, we use our mind to produce everything we needed. Just like Black so-called Wall Street that most people know about. And we were living peacefully, there was no violence, really, until these weak minds that were utilized as agents, because they always have to use people from within, and we call these black devils, because just like nature has a certain way that it works. Like, you can only grow certain things in certain soil that will work and grow naturally. So what they did is, like, in Africa, for example, certain people couldn't go into the heart of Africa because they were not from there. So their genetic makeup was not conducive for the land. So if they tried to go, mosquitoes and certain ailments will affect them, and they couldn't survive. So what they had to do is go to the coast, speak to people that are able to go inside, and send them to go and trick our elders to sell out our stuff. So the same thing that's been used with every single organization that organizes itself, respects itself, and so they had to send agents to come and destabilize. Look at every single one of our leaders, what they've done to destabilize, because they do not want us to unite and come together and work in peace and harmony, because nothing can hold us back. This is why we need to rebirth. We do need to realize this game and give them back everything. Rebuild our nation, our mission, rebirth in our mission. Go ahead, brother.
There's earth, wind and fire. That was the question that was earlier, earth, wind and fire. And earth, wind and fire says here, to burn out is perceived by many to quote unquote experience out a want. And earth, wind and fire goes and say this is incorrect. Could you set the record straight on that if they feel the same?
Okay. We don't actually say you shouldn't want things, or like, yeah, actually it's a good point, because when I was talking about money, we know that money is a tool. It's the way you use it that is the issue. So we're not saying don't have money. In fact, we're going to have it in abundance, because it's about the mindset. Imagine, yeah, their world is all based around having money, to the point where if you have so much money, most of the people that actually have real money is not what they're focusing on. Because imagine, yeah, the worries you have every week, every day, every month about money. Like, I'm gonna get parking. I see man drive their Ferraris, park it on double red line, don't care. They come back, tickets on them, rip them up, and drive away. Why? Ticket doesn't mean anything. They'll just pay it like that. So I'm saying that if you have wealth, which is much better than money, because this is another thing people do, and I always have to emphasize this. People say, I want to make some money. You hear this term all the time. It's about manifestation and the tones and the vibration. None of you here can make money. Have I lost anyone? No one in this room can make money. The only people that make money is the Federal Reserve, yeah, and the Bank of England. They actually make the money, right? And people chase money. How can you chase money exist? Do you run after money? Chase money every day? You can't chase money. So this goes back to 9 mind. What do you have to do to get money then? If you can't make it, you can't chase it. What do you do to get it? Attract it. That's the word. You can attract anything by way of your mind, because, and again, when it's all in here. It's all in there. Yeah. We don't mean you just go think of money and it just appears. It doesn't work that way. That's another false thing where people use for manifestation. Manifestation is your ability to focus on the goal and manifest something that is not just for your own good, but it aligns the universe and the better or greater good for everyone. So if you have a full nature, it will manifest. If you have a selfish thought, me, myself, and I, you may never get it, because the Natharu, or the beings that exist on those higher vibrations, are able to know whether you are sincere in your thoughts and not. It's for the betterment of the tribe, for the nation, for humanity. Yeah? Now you may say there are some people that may be disagreeable or evil that have lots of money. Most of the people like that are extraterrestrials, or they're being given wealth and given things without having to put any effort into it. Or they've created a system where, like I say, you just type a few digits, just numbers on a screen, and now somebody's all wealthy and they've got money. Yeah? And so we're not saying that they're, if you look at what they do with the money, they're using it to control the masses through greed, through the 9 mental diseases I mentioned before. You know, so, and the reason why they're able to succeed is because if you have agreeable and you have disagreeable, and you allow the disagreeable, there's no balance. Go ahead, Samar. Let me check on Clubhouse if there are any questions in the chat. But go ahead.
I was going to ask, what's the 9
mental diseases? Yeah. I had them up. Let me see if they're still up. Yeah, there you go. Ego, pride, jealousy, anger, greed, lies, lust, gluttony, and belief. If you get rid of this, you will elevate. Yeah? And the way you're going to, I'm going to say this from the book, right? Spiritual guide and master, such as Pana Babyanu, is required to prepare you by teaching you all that you need to know, both physically and spiritually, in order for you to make the transition from mortal to deity and then back into a supreme being or pure energy being known as an Ethereum. Right? Such a spiritual master only comes once in a lifetime, every 24,000 years, which is referred to as an equinox. We're living in that day and time right now, as of the year 2000 AD. So do not miss your opportunity, because this ain't going to come again for another 24,000 years. And you might say, I only live till 70 years old. And so when we're talking about 24,000 years, it sounds so far-fetched. But no, your soul lives on, and it keeps reincarnating over and over again for you to get tortured in this physical world until you burn out the desire so you don't have to come back. And you've given 24,000 chances to get it right. And some people will make it on their first time here. And they live a spiritual or high enough life to a point where their vibration and everything is not dealing with the flesh, it's dealing more with the spiritual side, or we say spiritual, yeah? So that you can go back, not have to come back. Most people, the master teaches us, have incarnated on average about 9,000 times before. There are some new souls have only come here for the first time from around, what, 1973 to the year 2003. Those are new souls. Others have been recycling and recycling. And a lot of people can do something called regression if they want to, which is not really advisable, because you might not like what you hear when you do that. Yeah? And why do you come back? You come back because you've still got certain desires and you're still attached to this physical realm. And you need to come back to burn out those desires, going back to the question of, do you want something or do you need it? Do you really need it or do you just want it? There's a big difference. And so we're not saying you can't have money, but we're saying, as the Bible says, which people misinterpret, it says the love of money is the root to all evil. Not having money. You can have money and it doesn't mean anything to you. You're not attached to it. It's just nothing. There are people who walk around with just basic clothes. You would never know they were millionaires or even billionaires. And it's funny, with black so-called people, we do the exact opposite. Yeah. We don't have money, but we'll carry a Gucci bag, or, do you know what I mean? Wear Louis Vuitton belts, and my shoes, my trainers cost £1,000. And you kill each other over material stuff that don't mean anything. So you've got to have the right mindset. Let me finish reading this. You don't want to miss your opportunity. And for those who listen, take heed and do the necessary work required. The rewards are great. You have to 24,000 cycles to make the grade, or you dissipate. What cycle are you now? How many times have you been there before? This could be your 24,000th time. Meaning that after this time, if you don't make it, you don't make the grade, because people say, what about the people that are going to be left behind? You choose to be left behind, because you have every opportunity to elevate yourself, to change your ways and be reborn into Wu-Sabat, and give them back all the stuff that's holding you back. And for those who missed it, when you just came in, we said what that is. It could be anything that's holding you back. At this book, right, we go in terms of, when I say you, I'm going to finish reading this and I'm going to go to that page of when I say you. So although the path to righteousness is not easy, it will be worth it. Who is this being that we're talking about, known as Panda Babylon? There are many guides. However, he is the guide of guides, the master teacher of teachers. He is known by many names and titles throughout the ages, different cultures and time periods, such as the reincarnation of Tahuti or Thoth, Hermes Trice times great, Atum Ray, As-Said Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, Imam Isa, Malachi Zadok, Malachi Zed-Yor, Rabboni Yashua Ba al-Hadi, Amun Nubi Re'akata, Amanubi Re'akata, Malachi Zadok, Melchizedek, the imperial grand potentate, the supreme grand hierophant, Al-Qut, just to name a few. Just to name a few. And these titles mean, so don't waste your time. Do not waste your time. Do not waste your time. Make your time count. And when we say don't waste your time, time is the only thing you can't get back. If you were 16, 21, the things you could do then, you can't do now, can you? So, when I say you, let's get into this, yeah? The big picture of how big is big.
According to perspective.
Exactly. This cosmogony, that's a word you need to research and look into. Take a moment to reflect on this question, right? And where you are located right now. If you're indoors, is it a room? Is it a building? And if you're outdoors, is it a town, city, country, continent, planet, solar system, galaxy, universe? Was it a multiverse or omniverse? So, if you think of where you are now, are you inside something or are you outside something?
It's inside.
It's a mental.
Right. So, is that a trick question? No one's brave enough to answer. Are you inside, or we've got one answer. Are you inside or are you outside?
Inside.
You're inside. Okay, what are you inside?
The real me is within
Within what?
this body, this skin suit,
So you're all inside.
and outside as well.
Ah, see, it changes. So you're in and out at the same time.
Tour.
Because my brother said his mental is not in him, is it?
Confined, it's not confined to this.
Not confined. So you're in and out at the same time.
Tour.
Okay, now the question is, when we say you, what is
What are
you?
you referring to?
So as I say here, the next question is, are you in, as in inside or outside, or both inside and outside at the same time? Where is outside?
All according to perception, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is.
Okay, and then let me just finish, I'll see you. Can you be inside and outside at the same time? In attempting to answer the previous questions, another question is immediately apparent, which is, what is meant by you? Which in itself sparks even more questions, such as, is it who, what, where, when, how? As in, when it said you are inside, when you reflect on this, you might ask yourself, am I? Or
You said it's like that movie, everywhere, anywhere, all at the same time.
that's right.
So basically, your multiverse or your what's it called? What's the term? It's quadruple.
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 Quadruple means 4.
4, I know the concept.
Which means you're more than 4.
More than 4. So basically what I'm saying is in different dimensions, different realms, all at the
Yeah.
same time.
Right, but
So
there's 9 levels.
Levels.
Yeah.
So therefore the intricacy of scientific in terms of like having that breakdown.
Right, so what I'm basically saying is, as this diagram is showing you, who am I? What am I? Where am I? When was I? How did I get here? Etc., etc. You start to think all these questions when you really focus on this. Who are you?
Yeah.
And if you look at the diagram, religious people come along and they say, you're a Christian.
That's Greek.
But I broke down recently, for those who are catching the OSM Vision videos, because we're breaking the spell with these videos, getting thousands of people around the world, and facts are confirming themselves. So obviously we always give a big shout out to OSM Vision. If you haven't checked that out, you should be registering and subscribing, because we're just getting started. The levels of information we've got to put out, to the point where you can't stand against us. We can break anyone who stands in front of us down in 5 minutes. Anyone on this, try it. And we will break down information to the point where, yeah, because when the truth comes, you can't stand against the truth. And that's our job, to spread the truth. People die for spreading the truth. That's why our master teacher's incarcerated right now, for telling nothing but the truth. Not the truth about just black people, the truth about everyone on the planet. And you can't dispute it. You can't. So what they do is attack him personally and try to avoid the information. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm here trying to teach you about high sciences, yeah? And all you can go is, I don't like your shoes. Like, who cares about my shoes? Like, I'm trying to give you facts and information. I'm just saying, my shoes are quite nice, by the way. I'm not just
Very nice. I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No,
I
again,
do want to finish this point, but go
using
ahead.
these analogies, was so significant or insignificant.
How are we doing for time? Because I'm a motor mouth.
Yeah,
it's to give you a lot of time to ask questions. I know you've got questions.
Distraction
aspect,
because they distract you, especially with our master teacher.
Yeah.
They, literally all his works, the land, the theme parks, all the Malachi vision that you can go on YouTube and see what he was creating with children running around free and happy. They distract you from that and give you his bedroom, his other types of, so it's a distraction. And because they know how the mind works, because, I'm an avid reader, and the mind and DNA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the research papers, there's actually a website called ResearchGate. And on that website, they've got research papers that deals with how they manipulate minds, how tones work, how this. So they constantly bombard us, as Master's already said, with all of these things to distract us.
Exactly. And the most powerful thing you have is your mind. And so they attack your mind to the point where you think you don't know what's real from what's not real. And this is why there's a lot of mental health issues. Because there are people who have grown up their entire life believing that a snake can speak. Believing there's a Father Christmas. Believing bunnies. Believing there was someone that was here called Jesus Christ that they've never seen in their life. That it's a story that's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. And they say to you, wait for him because he's coming back. Waited and died. Great-great-grandmas, grandpas, And people are still waiting for him to come back today. But the thing is, they don't even probe and ask questions. Let's ask the question. You say he was here. Where did he come from? How did he get here? They tell you he came from heaven, and then he came through a woman who was a virgin, who no man had sex with, but yet she gave birth to a son. But the rules of nature are like, you can't reproduce something that is not of the same chromosome. So this is why only certain species can produce certain species. You won't see like tigers naturally or cats going to mate with a donkey. Never happened. It won't. Will you try and reproduce with a donkey? Why not?
Not compatible.
Not compatible. What kind of offspring are you going to have? But these beings in the Bible, Quran, they did that. That's how you ended up with these beings like unicorns and
Baphomet.
yeah, Baphomet, which is what, half goat, half man, half woman, got breasts. Like, what is that? And now they're pushing what? LGBT, XYZ, yeah? Because they're mixing things to produce things that are unnatural. But let me finish this. Sorry, did you go?
Alphabet gender.
Yeah, alphabet people. And that's not to disrespect anyone, but it's like you're trying to create, like they will take a lion and a tiger and mix it, which is unnatural, and create something called what? A liger. And it doesn't really survive because it's not natural. Like they create unnatural foods to affect your DNA.
Growing ears on a rat and a mouse.
Yeah. But if you are someone that has the same DNA as a rat, a dog, a cat, whatever, then you can use that. And that's why they can grow, you know, ears on the back of certain animals and utilize it, you know. But yeah, basically, you're asked to be a Christian. I broke down the other day, as far as I mentioned OSM vision, that if you look at the word Christian, I've got it on the screen here. If you look at the last part, so you've got Christ is the first part, and then if you look at the last part, it's anti-Christ. And as I mentioned on the video, because I'm not trying to offend Christians, even though we know that the original way of life of the pure Christianity comes from ancient Tamaray, because that's from our sciences. Yeah? We said Karast. But my point is that when you go against something and you're anti, so people that go against the real teachings of the real Christ, which is the Christ consciousness, or the Karast, which goes back to who they call Horus, which is really Hara, which goes all the way back to Tut Ankh Amun. That's the real person who was anointed, yeah? But that story gets messed up when it comes into religion. We can do that for every single character that you've got as a made-up character in religion, because they're not real. Do some research, right? Among certain learned people, they will tell you the Bible was written by Josephus Flavius. What did you say?
Joseph Flavius Piso, just...
Yeah, Piso. Took the piss. The Piso family. P-I-S-O. You can check it out. Like we say, don't believe anything we say. Please do your research. That's why the word read, it means to do again. Search again. Look at it again, because you've been fooled for so long that you didn't ask questions. You didn't take the time to ask questions. Anyway, we're coming up, I'm running out of time, so I want to see if we've got any questions on YouTube, Clubhouse. But the last couple of points before we go to Q&A is how important language is. Because when we say rebirth, most of us have been taught English, and that's the spell. That's how they're able to control you, because you're thinking in English. So you're trying to manifest things, but to do that, you have to think of it first. So if you're thinking in English, you're only going to manifest things that have already been presented to you. Because how can you manifest a chair if in English a chair means that thing there? Because how did you know that was a chair? Because you were told it's a chair. Why can't I call it a fork? Because you were told something else is a fork. Yeah, so the Adamites, they had dominion over the planet to name everything. So whatever they name things, we accept, even if it doesn't make sense. So you have to start to think in your own language. And this is why the way the master teaches us, being the master teacher, he's replacing, our language changes all the time. You've never come across a language that changes all the time. And this is no coincidence, because you're dealing with 9 mind. And there's a reason for it. Like when you learn French or Spanish, or do the words change? They never change. But with our language, because the spell was so ingrained, as you say, to us, that it's affecting our DNA, we have to go to the root, go to the DNA. So for example, we have words that change all the time. So an example will be like, the word for bat used to be teak. Do you not remember?
Yep.
And it's now pafef. But the thing is, the reason for that is because you have to eradicate the English. So now I don't think of the word. If I say, what was the word for that? I'm going to say deep, which is a programming that eradicates the English. So we go deep, pafef, and then it might change again. It changes as many times as it needs to be done to change the grooves in your synapses. Because the synapses, when you repeat things over and over and over again, they create a groove. And this is why people get habits. And all you have to do is stop. Rebirth. Stop whatever it is you don't want to do. You can say to your mind, right, from today, when I leave here today, I'm going to stop it. And that's how easy it is to stop all the issues that you have. It may take time, because it will emerge itself.
Fight back.
Yeah, it will fight. It's going to fight. Because anytime you want to get rid of something, remember, the reason you have it in the first place is because you have some entity or ancestor that is utilizing you to live through, to have that experience. If there's something you don't want to have, imagine you don't like smoking, but you can't stop smoking, even though you know it's not good for you. You try and you try and you try. So you're going to need to invoke your ancestors. Most of us don't put our issues and problems in the hands of our ancestors, because we put it in the hands of other people's ancestors. Does that make sense? Like, if you want someone to help you, you go, oh, help me God, or help me Jesus, or help me Muhammad, or help me. Like, those belong to familiar spirits. We say family, but you're saying familiar, because family are people that you're familiar with. And if you're familiar with these entities, these disagreeables, and you're calling on them, and they're just going to lead you astray. Okay, let's take the questions, because I don't want us to run out of time. So language is key. Study Miss Batia. Again, let's address the language thing, because when we say study our language, people say it's too hard, or they might say it's going to take so long. But we're like, what was the first language on the planet? Anyone?
Arabic.
Definitely not Arabic. Why do we know it's not Arabic?
Because it lists the names of the language of who it came from.
Yeah, not only that. Oh yeah, you know what? The reason it's not Arabic and the Quran is like 1400 years old. And we know the planet's been there longer than that. So it's not Arabic, it's not Hebrew, it's not English. English is not even a language, it's a dialect of different words from French, German, you know, doesn't mean what it says it means. Someone say something to me in English, anything, a sentence.
The sun is setting.
See, makes no sense. The sun cannot set. Not the word "the" means definite article, like there's only one. There's no the sun. There's millions of suns, billions of suns, because suns are stars. Yeah. Setting. What does that mean?
Apparently, it's going down.
There's no down or up. Because if you're somewhere, like remember, you're dealing with, I'm here, and if I point that way, I'm saying up. And if I was on the other side of the world, and I was facing that way, because remember, you're held to the planet through gravity, right? So if I'm that way, I'm facing that way, and that's up to me. Do you get it? So wherever you are on the planet, up is going to be different to you. So there's no up or down.
Sorry, it's funny you mentioned that because if you research the ancient maps of Africa, the ancient maps were actually drawn with Africa facing down the whole head.
That's right.
You
It
know,
was turned
yeah, and
the
then it was
other way.
turning flipped over when the Europeans obviously again going back to
Yes,
same people.
and that goes to the 6 ether and 9 ether, because in order for me to trick you, I have to turn everything you know backwards, or the opposite of what you're supposed to do. Yeah. So if you are writing from left to right, or right to left, I'm going to teach you to write the other way. And if you start looking at the trigonometry, everything you're doing is back to front. That's why you have to give it all back. Everything that's meant to be good for you, they tell you is bad for you, and everything that's bad for you, they tell you is good for you. And you have to be able to discern. I'm just going to pull up the diagram of, right. So when we deal with science, these are the oldest fossils that have been found, right? Going back 7.1 million years ago. And this was found recently, 2002 AD. And these are the names or the species, yeah? They say the Sahelanthropus, these words, Tacadensis. Yeah, so when people talk about Lucy, you're talking about 3.2 million years ago, and that was found in 1974. And that is referred to as the Australopithecus afarensis. Greek words. Anytime you hear words with cis at the end, like Osiris, or, you know, yeah, the cis, Atlantis, or the tis, that's all your Greek. Yeah, do we have questions? Because I want to ask a question. But before I get the questions, I'll do one more quick one, something I want to share. And everything I've spoken about, it's all science and in the book. So we go from pure energy being as density, then we slow down our vibration to matter, and then we atoms, and then atoms are built into cells, and the cells form organisms, and the organisms form bodies. So that's how you come down and go up, and you're connected to all at the same time. Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah. What do you know about the April the 8th eclipse, and what should you do during an eclipse?
I don't know much about the April eclipse, but we are transitioning from, you know, we have every, like, summer we go back into winter, and winter back into summer. So we are about to go into the solstice, but that specific eclipse I'm not that much aware about. However, it gives off energy, because the sun gives off energy. So there's certain energies that are sent down to the planet at certain times throughout. So some are good, some are bad, but yeah, people look forward to the energy that is being sent to the planet at different times. But yeah, I don't want to give you anything specific on that particular one that I don't know.
Why was religion introduced?
Religion was originally a good thing, and it was introduced to help disagreeable beings so that they can learn and be disciplined enough, you know, to follow instructions. And they were actually assigned over a being called Tammuz, right? And this is why till this day, that Tammuz became your Jesus. But that Tammuz is from the Sumerian stories, because when the Anunnaki maimed and restricted these Adamites, these beings, by removing their barytheric gland, they didn't have access to the, you know, the supreme beings anymore. You didn't have your powers anymore, your four higher senses. So what ended up happening is that you were assigned to speak through one being that had access to the higher realms and higher information, and so you were taught to go through that being, Tammuz. But what ended up happening over time is that it got you know, flipped around to the point where people started to use it to control people. And today, that's what's happened, is like people have forgotten that it was something that was actually started off as a good thing to help educate and you know, discipline people. But now people are following it blindly when it wasn't even really for them. But yeah, that's what happened.
Who are the Bantu people?
Bantu people, if you go to, basically the original people on the planet, as it has been now, you know, established, are the Sans people, yeah, in Africa, and you have the what we call the Negroid, or people. We don't like using the word black, but we'll just use that for now. We have 9 species, and most of the species on the planet originate from these Sans people, yeah, and that's who the Bantu people relate to. Like many tribes in Africa, but you also have, like, every race on the planet comes from these Sans people who are related to them, and obviously different tribes. Go on, I'm listening.
How do you deal with addiction?
I'm going to say something naughty. Most of what causes the problems of addiction is in the word. You can hear me. Addiction, right? Meaning that a lot of times it leads to people having children and offspring that are not at the right time, and they're not thinking properly in my mind. So then the problems come with it. So if your mind is not right, then when I say not right, meaning you have the ability to control your mind, because you can stop yourself from doing something, but you have to have that willpower, that strength to be like, no. And that's all it is, 2-letter word. No, I don't want to drink. No, I don't want to smoke. No, I don't want to sleep with you. No, I don't want to go there. No, I'm not interested in your religion. I don't believe in your God. No, I don't. Just say no. And as small as that 2-letter word is, it's so hard for people to do, because they get influence and peer pressure, and everyone's wearing Nikes, so you have to wear Nikes or you're not accepted. But if you accept yourself and don't care about what people think, and you know where you're going and what you're doing and what is right, then you don't care.
Yeah, tourism, they say there's no sound on Zoom, Clubhouse.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's actually frozen. Look, not doing anything. Oh goodness. Can you? Are you still on it?
Tour, I'm on there, but I don't know how updated mine is.
I'm wondering if you can move me back to the stage or something and see if I can. Yeah, my thing's frozen.
See you. Yeah, not on there. Let me just.
I'm not there.
Come back here.
Maybe if I can just come out, turn it off. Yeah, it's good for people. Yeah, look, it's not moving at all. It's stuff. Oh.
Yeah, it's
Sorry for that.
for mine now as well. It's just Clubhouse.
Right, let me close it down and go back in.
Shall I answer the question?
Yeah. I just realised when I said sorry, I was going to say apology. But I always avoid that because of the technology. Because Apollo is what you're saying. This is what I'm saying about the words. When you say apology, you're giving that energy to the god called Apollo. But go ahead, brother.
How can we open our heart and how can we vibrate at a high frequency?
Okay. You don't literally open your heart. This is what I'm saying about English language, yeah? But I know what you mean, like, how can you open your heart? Your heart is one of the seats, yeah, when we look on that diagram, you can see, if you can see properly, your heart is one of the most important organs of your body, and you open it by, first of all, using your mind to know good from evil, because it deals with emotions, and people can take advantage of you to the point where if you're a giving person, some people will exploit that and continuously expect you to keep giving. And so, but you have to be able to have a pure heart to the point where you can discern. You know, you can pick up energy and frequency, because even as we're here, we're all sending information back on, you know, to and fro from each other. So the way to open your heart is to be kind, to be gentle, to be giving, to be, you know, able to love, the biggest one. But you see the word love, I always have to do this because they use English to trick you. Remember I said love? If you spell it backwards, what do you get?
Evil.
Evil. Even though you don't spell evil with an O, remember what I said about the vowels. You can take an I, which is a vowel, change it to an O, and it still says the same thing. Like I always say, you can take Amun, change the E, the U with an E, and you get Amen. And this is what everyone says at the end of the prayers. But yeah, so that's how you do that. Share, give, kindness.
Is English the real white man language?
Number one, I'll use English to show you there's no white man, there's no such thing. Because if you look at the technology, when they teach you colors, they will teach you that this is white. Yeah? This is white, yeah? I've never seen a person that looks like that. So there's no white man. The reason they say white is because of the word ghost. And what's that friendly ghost called?
Casper.
Casper. And if you look at the movie that had Daniel Craig, what's that movie called? The James Bond movie. He's wearing a white suit.
Phantom.
No, it wasn't Phantom. But yeah, so there's no white man, right? It's the transparent, because when you do Spectre, that's the word, that's the film. Look at it, he's wearing white, and a spectre deals with ghosts. A ghost is transparent because you can't see unless you're able to see with your third eye or manifest that energy. So English is not a language as well. So number one, we've debunked the fact that there's no white man and there's no language called English. Because English is a dialect. This is why we have to study. We have to raise our minds, because we use less than 10% of our brain and we can access the rest. And so when you start to think higher, you debunk things. So English is a dialect that is actually made up of words from different other languages. And that's why people say it's a bastardized language. But yeah, because it's used as a tool to turn things back to front, to trap you, it is the devil's language, for lack of a better word.
Someone said, will I see my mum again? I miss her so much. The hospital took her out with treatment. I had to go through therapy to deal with it because it was unexpected.
Yes, because again, this is what I'm saying about English. Your mum hasn't gone anywhere because she's energy and you can't destroy energy. But you just need to know where she is now and in what form she is in, and you can contact her and she can manifest. And we have rituals within Wu-Sabat that teach you how to contact your ancestors, especially your mother, because the mother or the woman has the mtDNA, which is the mitochondrial DNA, and you're connected to her by your flesh and blood. So what you have to do is do a ritual, which is how you, remember we say the master teacher is a 720-degree being, right? So he has a mastery over the spiritual world, and he has many times contacted people from the other side, and you can do it as well. But you need to know what to do. How do you operate in the spiritual world? So for example, some people are where you get white sage, you clear out the room with your intentions. It's not just about burning the sage. A lot of things we do, we think is just doing it. No, it has to align with your intentions and your mind. That's what makes it work. So when you're burning your sage, you're actually saying, I would like to communicate with my ancestor. I would like those of you who I don't know, who I don't want around, to please leave the building. And they will leave, because there are rules in the spiritual world and there are rules in the physical world. So what you do that, you turn all the pictures down in that room of anyone you don't want to communicate, because pictures are gateways. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, when you're looking at something, it's a vibration, it's a gateway. So you turn all the other pictures down, you turn up, like in that person's situation, put your mum's picture up, and you have a conversation with them. And you open that gateway between you and them. And if you are able to, when you vibrate and raise your vibration, you can physically manifest them as well. Meaning, it's energy that will take form, will slow down its vibration. In fact, they've been showing you this in the movies since Star Trek, how you're able to go, stand in a thing, and they break you down, yeah, and they get your matrix, because you're just made up of atoms, and they know how those atoms vibrate, and they will get coordinates, X and Y, and they transport your energy being to that place and recompose you. So, like, if you were traveling at a high speed, because you're held together by gravity, like you will basically, the G-force will pull you apart. Yeah, so this is why if you watch any kind of like space movie, they have to jump, meaning that they bend time and warp speed. And if you don't have a way, I was watching a series the other day, Foundation. If you haven't seen that, I don't think it's on Netflix, it's called, it shows you how you go into something because they have to keep you together and put you to sleep, because when you jump at warp speed, the same thing the master teacher has taught us, when we're traveling back to Risk or back to other constellations, you have to bend time. You can't just travel in a straight line, because you like, that's what they say, like Jesus, for example, we started to talk about this. They say he came from heaven and he went back to heaven. But when we start to do the maths, like, how far away is heaven? Because if he's traveling to heaven, like if I was traveling to Brixton, depending on the mode of transportation, I will know how long it's going to take me to get to Brixton. If I'm on a bus, I can say, depending on the traffic, whatever, I can be there in an hour. If I'm in a car, I can say 45 minutes. So when they say Jesus has gone to heaven, and you say how far heaven is, we know, because when you read the language, you're dealing with Orion, Sirius, and all these constellations. You would have to travel at the speed of light, and you can calculate how long the speed of light is. Yeah, a light year is how fast light travels in a year. So Jesus is still traveling. He hasn't even got to heaven yet. But you're saying he's going to come back.
Truth is truth.
He hasn't even got there yet. In reality, in science. But anyway, let's go, get more questions.
Can a Muslim and a Christian follow Wu-Sabat?
Of course, Wu-Sabat is for the world. It's for humanity. But the thing is, these religions restrict and divide people to think that they can't think outside the box. Because what's funny as well, it tells you in Islam, in the Quran, that a Muslim and a Christian cannot be friends. But I know many people that are married, one is a Christian and one is a Muslim. And you have to break down what does Muslim mean. And this is again where the language comes in. You ask a Muslim, what does the word Muslim mean? They don't know. Or they give you, they say, if there's anyone in here who's a Muslim, I'll ask, what is a Muslim? Because I've done this thousands of times. They tell you, one who submits. But that's not what a Muslim is. Even when you learn the Arabic, because it's mu salam. The word salam is the root word of the word Muslim. Salam means peace. Yeah, the peaceful way, or one who is of peace. When you put mu in front of the word salam, you get mu salam. They will say, no, it means submit. The reason they say that is because most of them don't read the Arabic of the Quran, because they were taught by people from Pakistan, people from India, and they all have a different dialect of Arabic. And so you argue with people all day long, but the thing is, if you're one of peace, because remember, Jesus said, blessed are what? The peacemakers. That's literally saying assalamu alaikum. Yeah, peacemaker is one of peace. So that's why you say assalamu alaikum, and you say alaikum salam. Peace be unto you, and peace be unto you. So what we're basically saying is that if you're of peace, you're automatically submitting anyway. But they will argue that point. We can keep going with different words in Islam, that they will say this means this, and we say no, it doesn't mean that. Study the language and you will see. So yes, anyone can be Wu-Sabat. In fact, Wu-Sabat predates Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and this is why we say they got everything in their religion from us, and we can prove it. You can see the prayers, the positions of Islam on the pyramids of Egypt. You see, so we welcome everyone, and all you have to do is be a sincere seeker of the truth, and the journey is yours. Question. I've got a question there, and then we'll carry on with you. Please check with the check. Are we back on Clubhouse?
I can't get in.
Yeah, sorry for those on Clubhouse. Let me try again.
Can't get in.
Sorry, brother, I just forgot we were trying to get back on. Go back on. I don't mind going over a little bit anyway today. If people are happy to stay.
Maybe you're teaching too much facts.
Okay, yeah, you know, these apps, man, they will try and they're trying to shut us off. But you can't stop this. Can't stop Pops, can't stop Wu-Sabat. Too late. You might, oh goodness, my class is not even on there anymore.
That's what I'm saying, it's disappeared.
This is Clubhouse. I notice a lot of people have been complaining about Clubhouse. That's why we've got always some vision, man. They don't lose the footage, man. They don't. Right, go ahead, brother.
So you touched on this a few times, and I just wanted to come back to it. So I
Yes.
listened to a lecture by Manakazi York about, I think it was galactic judgment.
Yeah, go on.
And he spoke about the fact, I've got sort of a two-part question. So he spoke about the fact that we're sent here, like you say, we could come back 9,000 times until we get it right. So I would want to know why we're sent down to Earth, and where are we coming from, and where are we going back to?
Okay. Number one, you weren't sent, you chose to come. Because you were given a choice if you wanted to come or not. I'm talking about in the spiritual world, yeah? And you were convinced to come here by, you see what it is with religion, they all give you bits and pieces of the story, yeah? So like in Islam, they will tell you, and even in the Bible, that they use different words. Like in the Bible, they will say, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels, yeah? This is Revelation 12:7, yeah? Go back and read it. And it says that after that war, they prevailed not, and they were cast down to earth. Those that followed, a third of the ones that followed this being called Iblis, yeah, who basically was a rebel. It's like, even now, Wu-Sabat is saying to you, do you want to follow someone who knows what they're doing, that's going to guide you and train you and teach you both your physical and your spiritual nature? You're given that choice. You can say, I don't. I'm going to go and follow religion or whatever. So, but you were presented with that opportunity, and we chose not to. And we got cast down here. And the reason we're here is because we've got to master and learn. And it's like a school. You got to pass the test. And you keep coming back until you make the grade. And some people were actually sent here because they have been, like for example, this is like a prison. yeah? You're quarantined here until you can actually change your ways, or if you can't, then you're going to remain here until you dissipate. And so you do have a chance to go back. What you were before was an Ethereal being, and you came from different parts of the omniverse, yeah? And most black people come from Orion and Sirius constellations, and that's where you will be going back to. Some people come from Mars, some people come from different parts, and when you come here, you choose which parents to reincarnate through, and it has to be within the bloodline. Yeah, so you can't choose to come and be a rock, as you know, some people teach you, or be something else. But you have beings that are able to change their DNA structure, so they can be anything they want. They know how to manipulate their being to change the chromosomes to basically be anything. And these are certain extraterrestrials. What was the other part of your question?
So I think you answered it.
Yeah.
It was,
where you're going back to.
and where we're coming from and where we're going back to.
Look on my screen. I put it up here because this is the best way I can explain it. I've got, if you look at, I don't know if you can see it properly, but can you see that?
Okay.
Can someone knock off that light for me quickly? Right. Is that going to affect that? Are you okay?
No, you're good.
All right. Look. So your 9 ether is the highest here, the highest vibration, and as you come down 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're slowing down in vibration, and you're coming from density, as I said before, to matter, yeah, to cells, and then as you look going this way, this is what we call the physical world, where you start from hydrogen, yeah. So let's say you come 9 to 0. Going back that way is ether, so you got E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6, all the way to E9. This is the etheric realm. And then going this way, you get your elements on the physical side, H1, H2, which is hydrogen, helium, lithium, going that way. C6 is carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, going that way, yeah, 99 elements. Now, the lower you come down in vibration, you start to deal with more physical things. So you have an ear, which is a physical ear, but you have a counterpart that is your spiritual ear. Just like you have eyes, which are your physical eyes, but you have your third eye, which is your spiritual eye. So the senses that you have, like touch, taste, smell, see, hear, they tell you that's 5, but all of these are just 1, because it deals with touch. Because airwaves have to touch your eardrum for you to hear, yeah? To see, light has to touch your retina, because light is really photons, right? To smell, something has to touch your nose as well. To taste, something has to touch your taste buds, and to touch is to touch, yeah? But as you go high in vibration and raising your spiritual side, you'll be able to start to use your higher senses known as psychometry, intuition, telepathy, clairvoyance. Clairvoyance literally means, it's just a French word that means clear vision. So you can see interdimensionally. Like, so even like you're in here right now, there's the unseen world and the seen world. But some people can see the unseen world. There are many beings here right now, taken in this class. They've come from different galaxies. You can't see them though. Do you believe me?
Funny you say that.
You think it's a joke?
There's a movie.
Yeah.
If I remember the movie, I will post it. But essentially, they went into a certain type of particular place.
Yeah.
And they put on their belts, like some kind of watch or some kind of thing, and they were able to move through different dimensions where there was beings living in those dimensions.
Yeah, they've been showing you that with Dr. Strange, the latest one,
Yeah,
the multiverse. But let me just finish this quickly. So as a being, your highest state is to be a supreme being, which is a pure etheric energy being. And then you slow down, you become a being, a human being, a human, mankind, a kind of a man, yeah? That's what I'm saying with the English language. You said, people say we're all mankind, but it doesn't mean that. It means a kind of a man, yeah? Mammals, then you go down to beasts, to demons. So really, it's up to you where you want to be. If you want to behave and act like a beast or a demon, you can do that all day long. You know what I mean? And people that get to that level and they just think I'm doomed because you've been taught if you're bad, you're going to hell. So some people with that mentality will think I'm doomed anyway, so I'm going to go to hell. But there's no such place. So, but that what that does is it makes them think that they can't elevate and change and go the other way. Go ahead, brother. Let's see. I'm going to come back to, yeah.
Yeah, this is my last one and I've got to go.
All right, cool.
It says, can you ask for more explanation about the 13th planet and how it was created?
The 13th planet?
Yeah.
What's the name of the 13th planet?
No idea.
So,
That's what they say. Can you
they
ask
want me
for
to answer a
13th?
question about something they don't know if it exists.
I don't know if it is. This is their question.
Right, the reason I say that is because how many planets are in our solar system?
According to them.
Anyone? Does anyone know?
8.
8. Who said 8?
Sorry, 9 I mean. 9.
9. Alright, let's quickly Google's a good friend, but don't believe him all the time.
Pluto was not, was been excluded.
Have you heard of Planet X?
No.
You haven't?
12 planet.
This guy says Valeria.
Valeria?
Yeah.
It sounds like gonorrhea. I've never heard of Valeria. But to be honest, it's not that it doesn't exist because planets are created all the time. Do you know what I mean? New planets are discovered and created. Just like when the master teacher said he's from a planet called Risk, everyone was like, what are you talking about? Do you know what I mean? Because they didn't know of that planet, which is in the 19th galaxy. And that has many planets. He happens to come from the 8th one. So there are many planets that we may not know about. So I don't know about that particular planet. But if you look on here, right, we got what? Earth, Venus, Neptune, Jupiter, Mars, Uranus, Saturn, Mercury. But they tell you about Planet X, which is really Nibiru, because there's some crafts that people are calling planets, but they're just as big as planets. You see, so they can come in and out of our solar system. So if you look here, we've got even like Pluto, yeah, where they thought, sorry, Saturn, they thought that that was the planet, but it's really, is it a ring?
That's right. The planet Titan and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But if you look here, we got well, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. What's that?
Jupiter.
No, I'm seeing this, Sirius. Never heard of that one. Jupiter, but in ancient times, these were called different names anyway, like Ansha, Kisha, Anu, etc. Neptune. But that's your last question, yeah? All right, cool. Did the brother here have a question? No. What's the time? Ra, we've gone over time. See, I say Ra. Ra. We do that naturally. That's the tone. Ra, Re. Yeah, so we've come to the end of class. It's gone quicker than I thought. I'm just going to quickly summarize. We lost the clubhouse. I hope the replay was on until it got cut off. But rebirth, that's what the class was about. And it's literally saying you can be reborn anytime, any day, and you can start today. You can literally change. Don't be shy if you've got a question. You sure? All right, we're here to take questions. So before we close off, we want to just tell you that to become a Sabaean, it's easy. All you have to do, make the choice, go to our website, nashat.co.uk, and we've got a form on there that you can just fill out. We teach classes every single week, every Saturday. We're on the radio, on Galaxy Radio, every Tuesday from 12 to 3 p.m. There are many, many replays of classes we've already done on Clubhouse. And all the replays from the radio shows are also on our website. I'm just going to show you. So Nashat is nashat.co.uk. When you go here, if you go to community support, you get access to, sorry, my computer, you can hear it. I work this computer so hard. I have a million tabs open. But yeah, you can You can have access to all our radio shows. You can fill out the form to become a Sabaean, and nothing beats reading the scrolls. We've put this scroll together to speed up your development because, you know, so if you go here, you go to the podcast, radio shows, playlist, and it'll take you to all the radio shows, some of the videos, but connect, you go to the connect page, that's how you connect with us. We give you a lot of, so every slide I've used today, people are still joining class. Every slide that I've used today is in it, packed with lots of information. Breaks down stuff that you probably never heard of. So get hold of that. We've got these upstairs. The master teacher that has over 1,000 books. From here you can join our community, and then that will give you a form, a short form to fill out. Obviously, we want to know who you are, what you can do. We give you a list of movies to watch that cover a lot of the stuff we speak about that people think is fiction. Altered Carbon, that's a good one. Childhood Ends. So lots of movies, lots of books. We give you all the access to the Zoom. We have a weekly schedule of things we do here. If you want to help and donate to help us keep pushing this information out, feel free to do so. Of course, we've got all our videos on OSM Vision. I've pulled that on YouTube. And we want you to help because you're talking about, you know, how do you open your heart? You help us spread Wu-Sabat. Share the classes, share the videos, share everything that we're teaching because it's true. Everything you've heard so far is true. And there's nothing better for you than truth. You know? If you don't think it's truth, then tell us. Let us know. There I am. You see, look, son, pray or pray. This is English. Right? So there's a big difference. This is how easy it is to throw you off. Go ahead, brother.
First of all, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
I just want to ask, what's the best way to meditate?
The best way?
Yes. I mean, for many people meditate, you get many benefits from it. So is there a simple step? There's so much out there.
Yeah.
Take this way, it's that way.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because
it can be confusing.
It's going to be confusing, yeah. You know what? With spirituality, most things in our way is very simple. But with all the confusion, it makes it complicated and hard. So, like you say,
You want to see the front?
So it's still on live, isn't it? So I could just show them quick before I leave.
Yeah, but then when? So what I'm saying is, there's always been a fight back against it. You felt it. When I came in, I said, who's left with the...
There's no CBD, is it? No CBD.
No.
Alright, cool. One of the comments was saying about CBD, but I think they saw the vitamin C and was mistaken.
You still live, yeah?
Yeah, still live, 210. Yeah. I'm gonna run to the car park, boy.
Which way are you going? Which way?
I can drop you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going Catford, but I'll just drop you. Let them see all of that, let them see all of this. This, you might want to screen this one. That's all the cures. They got all the bits, they even got washing powder, hair stuff. Everything and anything that you can think of. All the right toothpaste, all of that. Even games. Pictures.
Get rid of negative energy in the house.
All of them bits. The sage.
Crystals there.
All crystals, everything. Even cards. Everything's there. You have the crystal chart, innit? Yeah. What each crystal does, what it's useful for. But yeah, all this is going to be in a documentary though. You're going to see all of that. But yeah, I'm going to have to lock it off now. But yes, these are the books. Is your book here as well? Where is it? Oh, okay. Yeah, let me grab one of these. I'm going to just tally me up and I'll grab one as well. I'll buy one. I got all the pictures.
Yeah, you all. I like if I see me and he's here by himself.
Stuff for the kids as well.
I will always say because when I you're on your own. You do anything. Oh, he said by the time I got round, you already said you're on your way.
Everything. This shop is in Croydon. Let me show you the front if you can see it. Let me just see if I can see it. So, this is Croydon. That's the shop there. That is the shop. So it's people that was asking about what's Joseph Media, you see it there as well. But yeah, that's the shop. Herbs, well-being, all of that. So that's the shop. You see all the crystals and that here. Yeah, man, come down, man. Everyone's welcome. Ooh. You all right? Oh, okay. Yeah, man. Oh yeah, look, there's me. Bop, 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 bop. Jewelry, everything. But yeah, I'm gonna turn the live off now because I gotta run to the car, boy, before they lock the car park. So yeah. I'll see you lot later. Wait, how do I lock this one now? Boom.